Hey guys, so this prediction is between Beto O'Rourke versus Greg Abbott in a 2024 presidential election. Now in 2022, Beto O'Rourke and Greg Abbott will face off for the governorship of Texas. And this is an unlikely scenario for the 2024 election, but let's just put it in presidential standards. Who would win in a presidential election, not a gubernatorial election? Beto or Greg? Right, so let's get into it. So, Beto, he's a very liberal guy, and he will win all these safe Democratic areas, liberal areas. This Northeast and the West Coast, Hawaii, Illinois, he'd be able to win easily. These are all states that the Democrats will win. Greg Abbott will win all these states. O'Rourke's, one of his, if not the most main issue, and I do think it is, in my opinion, it is his most main issue, is gun control. He bases his campaign off of gun control, and that's, Democrats will enjoy that. Republicans, not so much. He will be slammed for wanting to abolish the Second Amendment, and really, in reality, I do think that even though Greg Abbott, he is like he's crippled, he's in a wheelchair, and very old, but really, I do think because of that gun control issue, the Republicans will make Beto seem like he wants to abolish the Second Amendment, and I do think Greg Abbott will be more acceptable in his own party than Beto will be in the Democratic Party. Greg Abbott will win in Nebraska's 1st district by a likely margin, along with Maine at large by a likely margin. Well, actually, I think it would win Nebraska's 1st by a solid margin. I think it would be more than 15%. And I also think that he would win Nebraska's 3rd definitely by a solid margin, along with Nebraska at large by a solid margin. Moving on to Alaska, I don't see Abbott doing 6 points better than Trump did in 2020. I'll give it to him by a likely margin. Moving on to Nebraska's 2nd district, I think Abbott will win here, and I think it would be by a lean margin. Mostly in many of these states will go Republican because of the unpopularity of Joe Biden right now. President Biden and Vice President Harris are extremely unpopular right now, and that really will cost any Democrat badly in 2024. Biden might be more popular, but as of right now, Democrats are not going to do very well. Sorry, I did not categorize New York in the Democratic column. It will go Democratic. And then Iowa, Ohio, and Indiana. I think Indiana would move into the solid column, and Iowa and Ohio would be likely from, they barely shifted to the right from 2016 to 2020, showing that they didn't really mind Trump, and Abbott's going to be kind of, firmly connected with Trump, and I think he'd be able to win these states by likely and safe margins. Moving on to Minnesota, this is going to be a very close state as of right now, but we do need to remember that Beto O'Rourke is not Joe Biden. Joe Biden will be awful as a candidate in 2024 right now. But O'Rourke hasn't been, closely affiliated with the administration. So I think it would be close just because of the bad environment for him and because of the Second Amendment. But I do think Beto would be able to carry the state of Minnesota and its 10 electoral votes by tilt margins, so less than 1% is my categorizations. But in a state like Wisconsin, a more rural state, I see Greg Abbott doing pretty well in the state of Wisconsin. I think it would win it by a lean margin, possibly as high as 3%. But I do think it would be more in the 2% range. Beto, I don't see doing well. He just won't connect with these voters here. Sure, they both come from Texas, but the Second Amendment is going to hurt him badly in a state like Wisconsin, because this is a generally conservative state, and they want to keep the Second Amendment and traditional values. Wisconsin is very hard, but Michigan is very, very hard. We'll get to Michigan. I think that might be the closest state in this election right now. But Pennsylvania, right now, sure, Greg Abbott can't campaign because he's in a wheelchair, but I think Pennsylvania would go tilt for Abbott right now. Actually lean. Probably want to buy like 1.5%. I think we'd go lean for Abbott. I just don't see O'Rourke doing very well, like outside of the South. He'll connect with people in Arizona. But really, Greg Abbott will have more of an appeal to places outside the South. Plus, Abbott also comes from the state of Texas, so he'll connect with Southerners too. So O'Rourke, his appeal to many people, it's going to be pretty lost, really. Like, I don't see him turning out suburban families, suburban parents in states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, or Michigan. I just don't see it, because he's Beto O'Rourke, and he's not going to be very popular among them. But that the same is going to go for a state like New Hampshire. Maine's first would go to him by a solid margin. Maine at large would go to him by a likely margin. But we need to remember Greg Abbott won't be extremely popular. I mean, the winter storm where everything froze, it was awful. And then Ted Cruz went to Cancun. That's going to show bad leadership. So just because of that, I will give New Hampshire to the Democrats, but I think it would be very close. I think it would be by a tilt margin. Virginia, I think O'Rourke would win it by a lean margin. I don't think he would, it's going to be pretty close, but I don't see it as close as the gubernatorial election there. And then going down to North Carolina, this is really going to be Abbott's strong suit. African Americans, they're not going to love Beto that much. I mean, very liberal ones are, but they're not going to turn out heavily for him. I think he would, have much less African American turnout than Biden in 2020. Plus, Trump is not the nominee, so that solid anti-Trump vote is, in many ways, gone. Sure, some people might want to vote against Abbott because he was closely tied with the Trump administration. But really, it's not Trump, so there won't be an anti-Trump vote. In South Carolina, Abbott would win by a likely margin. In North Carolina, Abbott's going to win by a lean margin, and I think that Abbott would be able to flip the state of Georgia, and I think it would go to him by lean margin. A state like Florida, a state that loves Trump, is going to go to him, I think, by a likely margin, because this is a state where O'Rourke's Second Amendment stance is going to hurt him so badly, and it will all across the South. I mean, African Americans who own guns, they're going, that's another reason to not turn out for Beto O'Rourke on election day. So really, those southern swing states are gone. All right, so moving to Texas, I really don't think this will be close. I think Abbott will win the gubernatorial election in 2022. So if so, I think it would go to Abbott by a lean margin. It's as simple as that. It's going to go to him in a presidential election. So Greg Abbott wins the election already. But New Mexico, Colorado, I see O'Rourke doing pretty well because, he connects with these voters. It's one of the few places where he will connect with these voters. Plus, they're already Democratic areas, so he won't have trouble winning them. Arizona, both of them will have an appeal, but this is an area where Beto's Second Amendment stance is going to hurt him badly. It's going to hurt him very badly, enough so to throw the election to Abbott in Arizona. But in Nevada, say that Hillary won by 2.4% in 2020, I think O'Rourke wouldn't have that much trouble carrying it. I think he would win it by a lean margin, probably more narrow than 2.4%, but I think it would be able to win it. And then in Michigan, it really doesn't matter, but African Americans, they're not going to love Beto O'Rourke, and that's what carried the state of Michigan to Biden in 2020, right? Because African Americans liked Biden. So Michigan I will give to Greg Abbott also. So Greg Abbott wins in every swing state except for New Hampshire and Nevada. Very bad day for the Democrats. Greg Abbott wins with 307 electoral votes to Beto O'Rourke's 231. Thanks for watching. See you all next time.